a warm August night in Chicago. A group gathered for a dice game on a North Lawndale street, surrounded by the ordinary sounds of the neighborhood: voices, footsteps, passing cars, and the anticipation of a lucky roll. Then, in a matter of seconds, gunfire shattered the evening. When the shooting stopped, Jerome Phelps, 19 years old, and Caprice McCollum Jr., 16, had both been critically wounded. One would die at the scene's aftermath. The other would lose his life in the hospital. What happened that night began as a brief encounter, but it left two families grieving, a neighborhood searching for answers, and investigators trying to identify everyone responsible. Before we continue, remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Your support helps keep these stories remembered and brings more cases to the channel. The shooting happened on August 16, 2015, at approximately 9:45 p.m. in the 1600 block of South Springfield Avenue in Chicago's North Lawndale neighborhood. According to police, Jerome Phelps and Caprice McCollum Jr. were taking part in a dice game when two males approached on foot. The gathering may have looked like one of countless informal street games held across the city, but the encounter quickly turned violent. Police said shots were fired after the men approached. Caprice McCollum was struck in the head and was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital in critical condition. Jerome Phelps suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was transported to Stroger Hospital. He was pronounced dead at 10:26 that night. Caprice remained alive for a short time longer, but he later died at Mount Sinai from his injuries. In the space of hours, a single shooting had taken the lives of a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. The victims lived in the same general area. Reports identified Phelps as living near South Ridgeway Avenue and McCollum as living near South Avers Avenue. Those details matter because they place the victims within the community where the shooting occurred. Not as distant names in a police report, but as young people whose daily lives were rooted in the surrounding streets, homes, schools, and family connections. The investigation focused on identifying the two people police believed had approached the dice game. According to the later prosecution account, one of the men had a t-shirt pulled up over his neck and the lower part of his face. Prosecutors said that man displayed a firearm and shot McCollum. They also said Phelps tried to run, stumbled, and fell. The prosecution alleged that the shooter then fired multiple times at Phelps before both men fled. That account was presented in court as an allegation, not a final verdict. Investigators recovered 9 spent cartridge cases from the scene, giving detectives physical evidence to examine alongside witness statements. Police also spoke with people who had heard or seen the shooting. One witness who ran from the dice game reportedly knew one of the suspects from elementary school. That witness later identified Laquan King in a photo array, according to prosecutors. Another identification came from Phelps's younger brother, who had been present at the dice game. Prosecutors said he also identified King as the shooter in a photo array. Witness identifications can become a crucial part of a homicide investigation, particularly when a crime happens quickly and in darkness. At the same time, they must be tested through the legal process, where evidence is examined and the accused is entitled to the protections of the court. By October 2015, police had arrested Laquan King, who was 20 years old at the time. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the deaths of Jerome Phelps and Caprice McCollum Jr. Chicago police said King had been identified as the person who fatally shot the 2 victims. Authorities also said another person believed to have been involved had not yet been located. At a bond hearing on October 7th, Cook County Judge Laura Sullivan ordered King held without bond. The hearing brought the case into public view and outlined the prosecution's version of events, including the reported approach to the dice game, the shooting, the recovered cartridge cases, and the witness identifications. But the hearing did not resolve every question. It did not explain what led to the confrontation, whether the second alleged shooter would ever be found, or what the long-term outcome of the case would be. Those unanswered questions are part of what makes the case so painful. Jerome Phelps was 19, old enough to be making plans for adulthood, but still at an age when a family expects more time. Caprice McCollum Jr. was only 16, with his life still unfolding. Their deaths were not just statistics in a year of violence. They represented interrupted futures. Conversations that would never happen, milestones their families would never witness, and empty spaces left behind in homes and friendships. The location also tells an important part of the story. North Lawndale is a community with deep family ties and a long history of residents working to protect one another amid violence and disinvestment. When a shooting occurs in a familiar public place, the damage extends beyond the people directly targeted. Witnesses may carry fear, families may change routines, and neighbors may wonder whether speaking to investigators could place them at risk. A case can therefore become a test not only of police work, but also of a community's ability to seek accountability while carrying grief. In this case, the known timeline is stark. On the night of August 16, gunfire struck two young men at a dice game. Jerome Phelps was pronounced dead at Stroger Hospital later that night. Caprice McCollum Jr. died after being taken to Mount Sinai Hospital. In October, Laquan King was arrested and charged, and a judge ordered him held without bond. Police said a second alleged shooter remained outstanding at that point. Beyond those documented developments, the available contemporary reports leave the later legal disposition unclear. That uncertainty is important to acknowledge. Being charged is not the same as being convicted, and a responsible account should not present an accusation as a proven conclusion. The story can recognize the suffering of the victims and their families, while still preserving the principle that guilt must be established in court. It can also acknowledge the limits of the public record, rather than filling the gaps with speculation. What remains certain is the loss. Jerome Phelps and Caprice McCollum Jr. went out into their neighborhood on a summer evening and did not come home. Their names deserve to be remembered as the names of two young people, not simply as entries in a crime summary. Every case has a human center, and here that center is the lasting absence felt by the people who loved them. The calendar of crime remembers Jerome Phelps, 19, and Caprice McCollum Jr., 16. Their story is a reminder of how quickly ordinary moments can become irreversible, and of why careful reporting must keep the victims at the heart of the narrative. If you have information about a case, contact the appropriate authorities rather than confronting anyone yourself. And if this episode moved you, help keep their names from disappearing by sharing it respectfully. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.